All right, so we are now recording. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026. This is Indiana Tech, MBA 6320, Leading Global Projects, and we are in Module 4. And I'm your professor, Dr. Michael Pierazio. All right, so jumping into Module 4. We're just going to continue exploring project management process groups on execution, monitoring, and control. So the learning objectives for this week, or by the end of this module, include outline the necessary steps in executing, monitoring, and controlling a global project. Describe common enablers and barriers to executing, monitoring, and controlling a global project. And finally, describe current best practices in executing, monitoring, and controlling global projects. So as we do every week, we have activities that need to be completed, and this week is no different. First item up is a discussion post, and it's on enablers and barriers during execution, monitoring, and control stages. Then we have 2 assignments this week. First one is a presentation on the steps in executing, monitoring, controlling global projects, which we'll review in just a moment. And then second assignment are enablers for global project success, executing, monitoring, and controlling. And finally, we have our Tech Live reflection. Again, just a brief paragraph about what you learned this week. If you had any takeaways from this live session, your reading, interaction with other students, etc. Other than the first discussion post, which is due Thursday night, that's your reply to the discussion post. All other work is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m., and that is your local time. So the first item up, again, is our discussion post. So for this week, we need to choose a peer-reviewed article about global project and discuss the enablers and barriers identified in the article during the execution, monitoring, and controlling stages of the project. Then we need to present what you think are the top 3 enablers during the execution, monitoring, controlling stages of the project, and explain your reasoning. And then you'll need to present what you think are the top 3 barriers during execution, monitoring, controlling stages of the project. And again, explain your reasoning. And then finally, can enablers become barriers? And why or why not? So as we do every week, right? So your first post, the response is due by Thursday, as I mentioned already, at 11:59 p.m. And then you need to reply to 2 of your classmates or your peers by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. local time with some type of substantive feedback to those classmates. Now, again, 2 is a minimum, right? And when we say substantive, it needs to be, like a paragraph or 2, not I agree or great job or something like that. You need to expand upon what it is that you're saying or the opinion that you're providing. Also, you could also even disagree with your peers. And then if you disagree with your peers, you want to tell them why you disagree. And if there's any type of documentation that you have found that supports your thinking, you'd want to include that also. So some type of reference. So before we move on to the assignments, I just want to quickly go over, what enablers are anyway. So in project management, the enablers are really the factors, tools, processes, skills, or conditions that help a project succeed. So they really support the project team in achieving objectives efficiently and effectively. So enablers remove obstacles, they improve collaboration, and they strengthen execution across all phases of the project lifecycle. So for global project, common enablers, so you have to pick three and you have some reading to go through to come to your conclusion. But I'm going to highlight 10 enablers and give you a little bit of background on them just to help define what they are. So first, for global projects, common enablers include things like effective communication. So when we say effective communication, we're really talking about clear communication channels, collaboration platforms, and regular status updates that can help the team across countries and time zones to stay aligned. And that's easier said than done, right, when you have a global project. Next is strong leadership. So project leaders who demonstrate cultural awareness, adaptability, and decision-making skills really help maintain coordination and stakeholder trust. Then we have technology and collaboration tools. So this is, something that is, more relevant today than ever. We have things like software such as Microsoft Teams or Zoom, other systems like Jira or MS Project is also an enabler. So MS Project is a project management planning tool, or scheduling tool. That really helps to enable virtual teams and the scheduling, reporting, and document sharing. Also extremely important when we're talking about global projects. Then we're looking at stakeholder engagement. So how do we actively involve stakeholders throughout the process of the project? Improves the alignment of a global project. It also can reduce resistance and increase support for project goals. Then, as we spoke about last week, we're talking about culture. So cultural intelligence is also enabler. So that means we're looking at the understanding of the cultural differences in communication, in work expectations, and leadership styles that helps improve teamwork and reduce misunderstandings. Risk management processes is also an enabler. Risk management is, very much a part of any project, but for global projects, we really need to look at structured risk identification, the analysis and mitigation process that enables teams to respond proactively to threats and uncertainties. Then we have governance and organizational support. So executive sponsorship, defined authority structures, and organizational commitment provides guidance and resources for project success is another enabler. Last few, the next one is skilled and diverse teams. So having qualified team members with technical expertise and international experience strengthens problem solving and innovation. Then training and knowledge sharing, also very important. So, we want to make sure that we have continuous learning and we're onboarding and sharing lessons learned that improve team performance and project consistency. And last but not least, standardize processes and documentation. So using common templates, procedures, and reporting standards helps maintain consistency across global teams and regions. So again, they are just some of the enablers, but they are ones that I believe are the highlights when we're talking about enablers to help you with your discussion post. So in the PMBOK guide, right, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, 7th edition particularly, enablers are often associated with activities or actions that support the successful application of project management principles and performance domains. So, for example, within stakeholder engagement, enablers may include active listening, negotiation skills, communication planning, and relationship building. So, to sum it up, enablers are the supportive elements that help teams um, execute projects successfully by improving coordination, communication, efficiency, and adaptability. So, a lot to think about when we're talking about enablers. So, there's a lot you can choose from. And again, your assignment is to pick what you believe are the top three and then tell me why. And also, again, what the barriers are to those enablers. All right. Any question about the discussion post? I don't believe it's not hard. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of getting through the reading material and providing your opinion. All right. All right. No questions. So we're going to move on to the assignments. So the first assignment, you're going to create a presentation outlining the necessary steps on executing, monitoring, controlling a global project. So follow the instructions on the instruction tab inside Canvas, and your presentation should be 2 to 3 slides in length and in a PPT or PPTX format, right? So it's not huge, right? 2 to 3 slides. It's not, it's just high level thinking, right? A couple bullet points. And again, if you have references, you should have a reference page at the end. So the requirements here are review the course materials and the lessons module. And again, create a brief presentation with a chart or a graph or a visual representation outlining the necessary steps on executing, monitoring, controlling a global project. And then if you have any questions as you get into it, you just need to ask me, right? Send me a quick email, and I'll be happy to provide whatever clarification you may need. All right. Any questions about the assignment one? Again, these assignments are pretty straightforward, I believe. But of course, sometimes when you get in the middle of the assignment and you are trying to complete it, if there's any confusion, again, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. So a second assignment is that you'll be writing a paper that describes how to utilize the enablers to improve profitability of project success, and follow the instructions on the instructions tab and save your file in a .doc or .docx format. Your response should be 2 to 4 pages in length and comply within APA writing requirements, right? So APA writing standards are very important. So again, you have to review the module materials and lessons, so the reading for this week. Complete additional research on enablers to improve the probability of project success, strategies and tools for executing, monitoring, and controlling a global project. So you should be able to find lots of that kind of information in the library. And then you, again, create the 2 to 4 page paper describing how to utilize enablers, improve profitability of project success, as well as strategies and tools that can be employed to overcome barriers in executing, monitoring, controlling a global project. And again, if you have any questions, please make sure you direct them to me. All right. Any questions about the second assignment? All right. Doesn't appear to be. And just a reminder, right? Week 4, we do have a reflection that's due. Once again, it's worth 10 points. It's very simple, one paragraph on what you learned from this week. It could be some of the things that I went over. It could be, again, from your reading. It could be things that you may have picked up from your peers. Again, to me, it's a very easy 10 points, so I highly recommend you complete them. And finally, once again, if you have any questions, send me an email, mcpierrazio01@indianatech.edu. I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as possible, usually within 24 hours, depending on what time you send it to me. Please remember, I'm on a different time zone than you. I'm on Eastern time zone. Most of you are probably not. So when you send yours, it might seem like a reasonable hour, but for me, it's an hour or two later. Again, if you have any questions, you need one-on-one help, just send me an email requesting time. I'm available Monday through Fridays, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays, Sundays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just give me a couple days and times where you would like to meet, and then I will look at my calendar and see what I can make work. And then usually whenever a student has a problem or needs some additional help, it's usually 15, 20 minutes is usually enough to get you over the hump and get you back on track, right? So again, don't struggle. If you're having a hard time with anything or any concepts, again, reach out, send an email, or request time for some one-on-one discussion. And that's it for this week. That's all there is, right? Most of the work is on you, right? For you have to do all the readings first. That's the hard part, getting that out of the way, and then tackling the assignments. So before we wrap up, does anybody have any questions tonight before we go? All right. I'm not seeing anything. So thank you very much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder too, right, if you can't make it during the week or, a week, it's not a problem. This is not a required session for you to attend. But I always record it and I put it out on the announcement of the recording. So you still have the opportunity to listen to it and respond to the reflection. All right. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing your assignments this week, and I will talk to you next Tuesday. Have a great week.